So good morning. It's Wednesday, January 25th. It's the Senate Agricultural Committee. All members are present, and we're going to be working on hearing some testimony in regards to the Universal School Meals program, which we worked on last, I don't know how many years, but it got funded for 1 year this past year. So we've got a few months behind us on how it's working with Vermont, covering the costs compared to the 2 years previous. The feds were covering the bill. And so we got a group of providers, and so we'd like to hear from you folks in regards to your take on it, and if there are things that should be changed to make it work better, because I'm running under the assumption that we'll get it passed or hoping that we'll get it passed and placed into law. So it would be good to hear from you folks that actually the boots on the ground to see if there are tweaks that need to be made and things of that nature. And so we'll introduce ourselves, and then we'll get right to hearing from you folks.
Good morning, Brian Collmore, representing the Rutland District.
Irene Renner, Chittenden North, which also includes Fairfax.
Brian Campion, Bennington County, and the towns of Wilmington and Londonderry.
Rich Westman, Luann.
And I'm Bobby Starr from Orleans, 4 towns in Caledonia. So I don't know if there's any particular order that you want to
Sure.
lead off and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Scott Fay. I'm the Director of Child Nutrition for the Essex Westford School District and past president of the School Nutrition Association of Vermont. Great to see you.
Well, welcome, Scott.
Thank you. And thank you for the Universal Meals. I am super happy to be here and be able to talk to you about the work that happened last year and how that is translating into our schools at this point. Couldn't be more proud to be part of this work and doing it with these amazing colleagues that are with me today. Over the past 2.5 years of Universal Meals, I've seen my program turned on its head for the better. More kids are eating. We're scratch cooking with Whole Foods. We were able to hire a baker who bakes fresh sandwich loaves, fresh muffins and breakfast bread every day. And we're processing local foods, which we were never able to do before. We're actually making local beef into meatballs for our K-12 every month, which has been amazing. We're purchasing more better quality fresh fruits and vegetables. The stigma around school meals is gone. And what we're able to do right now is focus entirely on high quality meals. We're not trying to scrounge for selling snacks to fund our programs, but the meals is our complete focus. I shared a photo. I don't know if you were able to see it, but I wanted to show you that's one of the things I'm most proud of. What it is it's Essex High School's cafeteria in the morning. Oh. Yeah, so before the Universal Meals, that place was a ghost town. There was very few kids in there. Just over 10% of the building was participating in breakfast. Fast forward to today, you can see the room is bursting with kids sharing a meal. It's happy, beaming community where almost half the kids are choosing school breakfast.
Great.
It's really what equity looks like in our meal programs. It's a prime example of what supporting students' social emotional learning looks like right there. Ahead of today's meeting, I spoke with several stakeholders across my school community because I wanted to bring their voices to you, let you know what, besides me, what people in our schools are talking about in terms of meals. I talked to a young man named Sam, who's a ninth grader from Essex High School. And he tells me, he says, personally, I think the school community and vibe is much more positive than before. It's important that everyone feels safe and welcome in school. And I believe Universal Meals has only made this better. Principal Briggs from Essex Middle School said, there's no longer a stigma to eating school meals provided by school, and certainly not for any child whose circumstances lead towards free and reduced meals. He said he's heard from families how appreciative they are of the program because of the recent high cost of food. Principal Grecken from Hiawatha Elementary School told me, we have more kids eating breakfast and lunch than ever. Our students eat a variety of foods and are trying new healthy options. She said, this year I have heard students complimenting our food. One said, this is the recipe my mom should use. I talked to a Miss Osborne, who's the fourth grade teacher at Thomas Fleming School. With access to food for all my students, I've seen an increase in healthy eating habits. In the past, some students brought in snacks and lunch from home that had minimal nutritional value. They often had ingredients that were more detrimental to a student's ability to focus and be alert. Now, so many students access the school provided food, and I can see the benefits and how it impacts their day in a positive way. One of the nurses, Nurse Morris from Essex Elementary, she said, I've seen a profound effect on students' mental health with free lunches, where students are excited to eat at school and they don't have to worry about having enough food while learning. The physical benefits of having access to meals at school are present and expected, but it's been really wonderful to see the social, mental health benefits as well. For those of you who don't understand why it needs to be universal, why it doesn't work when it's only for those in need, it's about providing nourishment with dignity. It's about investing in the foundation of learning and ensuring students are ready to learn. It's about providing every student with equal access to the same things, recognizing school nutrition as an integral part of the education system. And it's about knowing that every Vermont student has access to healthy breakfast and lunch while they're at school every single day. So it's the universal meals. They're impacting our students, our whole community, and we just are here to make this permanent now. So recommending that you support funding this going forward from the top of the education fund. Now is the time to make universal school meals permanent for every student, every meal at every school.
Brian?
Thank you. Thanks for the testimony.
Yeah.
It was great. That's a great picture of the kids at breakfast. Can you just tell us a little bit like what time kids are arriving and what they're eating? And then my other question is, have you seen any connections grow between the school and the local farm? Anything like, or local farms?
Sure. So from my experience, school start at the high school there with the picture. School starts at 8. Students start arriving about 7:15. That's when the first buses pull in. And they used to kind of just wander around and whatever. And now they're just coming to the cafeteria. And it's just, I had to share that because every single day when I walk through there, it takes me back. And that makes me so happy. We have, like I said, we have a baker. So a lot of kids are eating breakfast bread that we make every day. They love breakfast sandwiches, bagel sandwiches, cereal. We have a lot of yogurt, parfaits and smoothies. In terms of farmers, I've never been able to, we have such scale at Essex Westford. I've never been able to do this. So last year I started making calls, and one farmer to another led me to a local farm in Shelburne, who comes every Wednesday now with 180 pounds of ground beef.
Wow.
And
great.
I would like to get more, but it's like, that's their capacity right now.
Still, that's great.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And we're making tacos. The kids love tacos with the Vermont beef. And then one of the things that I'm super proud of as well is our meatballs. And it's just a super kid-friendly meal. That scale is like almost is too much for my staff, like to roll for
Yeah.
K-12. We're serving almost 3,000 lunches every day. And so, yeah. So we ended up buying a machine that helps us do that processing. And we couldn't have done that without the increased capacity that we're seeing with Universal Meals, which is creating cash flow that allows us to invest back. One of the hardest things about buying local is just processing. Like, what do you do? Apples are pretty easy, but what do you do with 180 pounds of squash or beef
So
or?
you need to be able to buy it in smaller increments.
Well, you just need to weigh either the people or the tools. It's like you wouldn't build a house
buy it
today with
ready
a
to
hammer. One or the other. Yeah, you wouldn't. Sometimes we need power tools right now because of the
Exactly.
capacity. And my district just is one of the bigger ones in the state. So we found this machine and we're trying to tell that story that it works and it's working and it's something other districts can do. I think that we still have some capacity issues with our farmers getting the volume we need, but we're just scaling up and it's going to take some years. We're 1 year in. This is our first year with Vermont funding. So I think we're 2.5 years into Universal Meals. We're still new, but we're seeing this thing grow. And that picture is just a prime example of just one little cafeteria in the whole state. And look at it. And like I said, I mean, there was just no one around before.
Is there can I ask one more question? Is there somewhere where the kids know that they're eating Vermont beef? I mean, just that it's local.
We put it up on our board. I put it up on all of our menu boards.
Yeah.
I
think
do
that's
it, push it out on
yeah.
social media,
Great.
I'm just bragging about it.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's great.
I
But
want
also it
people
gets
to know.
them thinking to themselves, hey, local, support my local economy. It's why would I want something local? Well, it's better for the environment, better for me, all that stuff.
And you know that it came from a neighbor, so it's probably real good.
Real good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So yeah, excellent testimony. Thank you. We heard from Rosie Kruger last week, and I'm kind of curious, do more kids take breakfast than lunch in Westford? And why do you think that is?
So we have, as a whole, more kids actually participate in lunch than breakfast in my experience. Although since Universal Meals came into place, the growth at breakfast is bigger than we've seen at lunch.
You said it was about 50%?
We're just over 50% at breakfast, and that's come up from about 30, and it's continuing to grow. And the state has some modeling for CEP schools that we've seen, and they keep growing. So I'm anticipating this to keep
So
going.
what's your percentage of students that take lunch?
Just over 70.
Oh, wow.
70%?
That's higher than we heard.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
that's higher
She
than.
said 63 or something, I think.
And so we've been able to, we saw COVID as a big reset button for our program, and we kind of leaned into the scratch cooking. It happened that we were able to bring in some local too with the incentive, and just because the supply chain was sort of damaged there, it forced us to look locally too. So yes, I think more kids are eating lunch than breakfast in my experience. However, the growth at breakfast is huge. And with that, why the growth is coming, schools are still adapting to this. Like my district does we're still pushing for breakfast after the bell in a lot of ways. And that's where you really start seeing higher participation. But my schools are slowly getting on board with that. And I've talked to a whole bunch of people, and a nurse just texted me on the way here, and she from Founders, which is the 4 or 5 grades. And she said it's staggering how many kids come into school hungry that need to eat. And she said, I just read it on the way here actually, that she thinks that attendance would be lower if we didn't have that healthy breakfast available when they walk into the building.
That's
Interesting.
That's interesting.
And
That is interesting.
what about, do you handle the signups for the free and reduced meals? And Rosie last week says, really, well, we know too, from financial reports, that it's really important that families fill these forms out so that we get maximum
Yeah.
matching federal dollars.
Yeah.
Who keeps track of that? Is that part of your work or?
Yeah, so there's a lady in my office who does the actual processing. And we've pushed hard into the community saying we really need these. We need the federal funding to offset the bill to the state. You're absolutely right, needed. They're coming in slower, I think. In my experience, they're coming in slower than they normally have. More so, we are home to Essex Tech Center, who we receive students. I don't know how many schools we get them from, but that's one of the lower, usually that's probably at 40% free and reduced, and we're just around 20 this year. And I know that the economics haven't changed. It's just the slow coming in, and schools need to hear that we really need to be pushing on. It's just, there's not an incentive. Usually the prior year's approvals expire 30 days into a school year. And that's, once those expire, all the applications come in because people start hearing from schools. We didn't have that this year. So it was nice. Principals love that they don't have to call. We don't have to call. That was the most hated part of my job, was calling a family to say, we need your money. You're behind on bills, you know, it's just miserable. But what that also is the incentive for families to sign on to the program, and we didn't have that. So I think, I don't know what the state's seeing, but I'm seeing less applications than I'd like to
They
see.
said the numbers were, I thought, Rosie, the numbers were down.
Yeah.
On free and reduced, and we really need to figure out a way to accomplish getting as many of those done as possible.
Yeah.
Because when we get down the hallway where the money is, they're gonna ask the hard
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
You know, why aren't you collecting this from the vets?
Exactly.
And so we all need to, you know, do our best to accomplish getting those things done, right?
Thank you. And then the other Brian. Do the kids have to eat in the cafeteria? I know you kind of touched on a little bit, or are there provisions where they can eat in the classroom?
Yeah, it's sort of like a school rules. At my district, kids eat in the classrooms,
They do.
particularly in that breakfast. Yeah, they
Okay.
get a lot of schools are on a grab and go, where they'll come down to the cafeteria to get their food, because we can hold it. We can have hot or cold food to keep it safe. Temperatures there. So they'll come down after school starts, grab their meal and go back and eat in their classrooms. Some schools, most schools are eating lunch in the cafeterias, but a few that did breakfast in lunches in their classrooms during COVID, just because of the keeping kids separate, found that it worked really well. And if I have a few classrooms that are still doing that, but by and large, breakfast is in classrooms, and lunches are in the cafeterias.
Yeah. Well, it gives kids a chance to socialize.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And that.
And we like seeing them. One of the,
pretty
like,
important rather than sitting.
sure.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Playing there.
And all of our staff, these people just love kids, and they love seeing them, and they love that their masks are down now, and that they're appreciating what we're doing. And, you know, having the ability to spend a little bit more on ingredients and seeing that translate into happier faces, higher participation, makes you feel valued. And I think that that's just been a huge win for my team.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So with leftover food, is there ever an opportunity for a kid to come by in the afternoon, fill up his or her backpack and bring stuff home?
So,
Because I guess anecdotally, I'd heard at one point, this was over the past few years, that some folks do things for maybe elementary school kids. I'm wondering if there's ever stuff for the high school kid to throw in their backpack.
yeah, what we do have, and I think we can get better at this going forward. We implemented this year share coolers, where because of the federal regulations, kids have to take certain components of a meal.
Yeah.
They don't always want to eat it, so they stick it in that share cooler, and then that just stays open and it's just available.
That's a great idea.
That's true.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Some of the schools with that share the cafeteria is also a gymnasium. The space gets a little hard to deal with, a little funky. So I think we can get better at it, but that's something that we were able to implement. They weren't that expensive and they can be open, but maintain temperature inside so
That's a
that,
great idea, because we've heard, that seems like a great
Yeah, it's working well.
statewide solution.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
Reduce the
some kids
waste.
aren't gonna take the apple or have to take the apple, but then
yeah.
put it in there. Good
Or
for
they
you.
got a milk, they aren't required to take a milk, but
Yeah.
they'll take one and then they're done eating and they're like, well,
I don't want the milk, yeah.
they put it in there on the way
Yeah.
out the door.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's, I'm glad you mentioned, somebody did. Do you get the little pack punch?
Yeah.
But you can only get, low fat and
Yeah.
no fat or?
We get like 1% or fat free. We buy 1% plain white milk, and then chocolate milk is fat free.
And that has to come out of Massachusetts or
Yeah.
someplace?
I think that's where they
Process it,
And,
Yeah.
and, kids, how are they doing on, if you have 2,000, you say you have 2,000 go through? How many
more?
3,000, right?
About
3,000.
3,000 across our 9 buildings.
Yeah, how much milk do they use 3,000 to have punch?
Not that many. I don't do the actual ordering myself, so I don't really know that. I'd have to guess.
Yeah.
It's a ton of milk. I see the crates all stacked up, and when I walk into buildings and it's just tons of milk, but I don't have a good number for you.
See, the former years, we talked a lot about if we could have a chocolate milk, that maybe 1%,
Mhm.
but then have whole milk, kids would drink it.
Yeah,
But this low fat and it's hard to sell. That's what
it's
my hot lunch people tell me.
yeah, and I think I get nurses occasionally that, and this is part of the federal legislation.
Yeah.
But I do have nurses that ask about that too. Some of these kids need that extra fat actually.
Yeah.
They not, some of them they're looking for the extra calories.
Yeah.
So, but that's a tough one.
So you're saying the feds require that it be
Oh,
lower
yeah.
We
fat?
can't have whole milk. Yeah.
Can't have whole milk.
That's
Even if
really
you bought it
interesting.
yourself?
Oh, you could bring it into the school. in a
Oh,
thermos.
yeah. But it's
So
not
you
part
could
of the
have
federal
pictures
milk
of whole
program.
milk if we sponsored, they gave you more money or something, right?
No,
No.
they can't serve whole milk.
Feds-
Yeah, we have to
cannot
follow-
serve- I
we
just
go-
wanna- I'm
we-
new, so I'm asking these questions.
Yeah, and so you guys are funding the program, but it's still the federal National School Breakfast and Lunch Program.
Yeah.
And they're funding all the free and reduced meals. Well, yeah, the reduced part, most of the reduced part, the feds are funding. And that's why we so badly need families to fill out that form, because every time one qualifies but doesn't, it's adding to the state cost.
Like you wouldn't even, like Hershey makes the syrup but you wouldn't, I don't think you'd even be allowed to have Hershey syrup sitting on the table
It-
or on the shelf so the kids could make
Be a
their
tough
own.
one. Yeah, that'd be, I don't know what they do, what they bunch of
Well, I think
third graders would do with the jars. Hershey. That'd be a funny
No,
video.
the rule needs to be changed. to
Somebody's
USDA. Brian?
So when we go to the floor and go to our colleagues, we can definitely say, attendance is up.
Seems to be,
Seems
yeah.
to- again,
yeah.
these aren't signed, but attendance seems to be up. More kids are eating better, more local. And then I love this share cooler idea where,
Yep.
food is being
Yeah.
served, or, there's a second chance on some food that normally might have been tossed.
Yeah, I think it's great. And I would add one thing that's come up a few times for me is that there's less stomach aches. And I came from both elementary and high school nurses. They used to stock snacks in their offices.
Yeah.
And a kid would very often come in with a stomach ache in the morning. They would give them a juice and they like the little saltine, they come in 2 packs, give them that type of thing. And then the stomach ache goes away.
Wow.
And so that's like, I think, system wide, at least at EWSC. I can't imagine it's not at all of our schools where just less nurse visits and that type of thing.
That's great
I
to
guess
hear.
the kids even behave better.
Yeah, probably. And it's been hard data to tease out of our systems because of COVID. It's been all tangled up with it. This year, I think we have an opportunity to start extracting that type of cleaner data where we have a normalized school year. Now, what does that compare to pre-COVID days?
I think in 10 years, it's going to be just amazing.
Oh,
I mean,
you
the
mean.
change, the local
yeah.
food piece, all
Yeah.
of it, kids eating.
By then, farmers will have caught up and will know what we need.
Yeah.
They'll know how to produce for schools.
Yeah. Gotta give.
But we
time.
need time to
You
do
need
that.
time, yeah.
The other selling piece to me would be, it's easy for someone to say, well, the mental health's improved because you can observe it, but you can't necessarily prove it.
Right.
But if the test scores came up as a result of the kids being fed well.
Yeah,
And that may take a few years.
yeah,
It certainly hasn't been an overwhelmingly positive situation at the moment, but if the math and the reading skills go up, and you could somehow say from the time that we began the Universal School Meals program, it's gone up a little bit every year.
it would be nice to.
Yeah.
But you
put
bring
two
up a
together.
great point, because at least it starts to put kids at more of a level playing field. If you're taking a test with a stomach ache.
Yeah.
Or hungry,
Sure.
that's, how are you gonna be able to do as well as the kid that's
Right.
gonna come in and, well nourished?
Definitely.
Irene,
I think there's all kinds of metrics, right? We could look at fewer nurse visits, maybe fewer behavioral problems, right? I mean, if kids aren't hungry,
Oh, yeah.
test scores
Yeah.
are one thing, but
Yep.
there's just a whole environment, as you said, just the positive feeling in the school. Maybe you retain staff you wouldn't retain otherwise. I think there's just so many
Yeah,
auxiliary benefits of this. I'm part of your district. Could some of the strange busing schedules be affecting how many kids actually can get breakfast? Like, are kids just too rushed and maybe some don't want to sit and eat in the classroom or something because they are academically focused? Do you think that has anything to do with it, or does transportation not really, do you think, have a bearing on who's actually taking breakfast versus lunch when you're already kind of?
yeah, I wouldn't know. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I haven't thought of it that way because most, I look at our participation and it's just going up, but how that works with our transportation and bus routes, that'd be a little beyond. I'd have to really dig into that one. If I haven't done it. I don't know.
Thank you.
any
Thanks.
other, any other questions?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thanks
Again,
so much.
Really appreciate all the work.
We'd love to have you come into Senate Ed.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
great,
So we have Gretchen, our.
very popular.
Hi,
Good morning.
it's my first time testifying, so
Well,
I'm a little
we're really,
nervous.
as you can see, we're really hard on.
I
you.
know. Well, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Senators. It's a pleasure to be here today in person and not on Zoom. I'm Gretchen Chaya, the School Nutrition Program Director for Windsor Central, so your neighbor, Windsor Central Supervisory Union, and I'm currently the president-elect for the School Nutrition Association of Vermont. That's not cool. I'm truly grateful for this opportunity to be here today and share our district's specific success stories around universal school meals. And I'm going to sort of back up and kind of give a little background to how we got to where we are today. We're a relatively small district, about 1,000 students, pretty big geographical area from Killington to Barnard. And so I'm also grateful for the work that you did last year and helping Universal School Meals get to the finish line and make it a reality. Throughout my 18 years in public education, I've worn many hats. I've taught physical education. I'm really good with kindergartners in the gym and hula hoops. I managed the Woodstock Elementary School kitchen, and 5 years ago, I took over the district, all six kitchens in our district. With no real culinary experience and lots of time in the school garden with students, I became inspired and driven to transform our cafeteria into a place where students could eat healthy school meals and connect with the Vermont agriculture landscape through food. While our mission and vision to feed students farm fresh school meals every day was well and good, it wasn't a reality because not all students could access the meals. The paid school meal system that was in place at the time created barriers, ultimately limiting meal participation. The stigma was real, the fear was real, the anxiety was real, and so were hungry students who couldn't learn. What Universal School Meals has done has taken down fears, erased the stigma, and dissipated the shame around accessing food from our cafeterias during the school day. No longer do students judge each other for getting food from the cafeteria or end up figuring out which of their peers belongs in which family income category. We can thank Universal School Meals for this major shift in how students view school meals. School meals have become the cool thing that kids want. This next paragraph is from one of our school nurses, and it touches upon what Scott was talking about with absenteeism and tardiness and school breakfast. Across our district, teachers, school nurses, students, and administrators are praising Universal School Meals, especially the impact a free school breakfast can have in helping decrease absenteeism and tardiness, which in return increases valuable time in the classroom. And so one of the school nurses sent me this, it's just one of her quotes. For many families, simply getting kids to school on time and getting parents to work is a daily struggle. Many leave the house without breakfast in the chaos of getting up and ready for an early start day. Free breakfast at school takes the pressure off the household to provide a nutritious meal so early in the morning. We know that many students, particularly middle school and high school students, will forego breakfast because they simply did not have time to have it at home. This greatly impacts their ability to attend and learn at school. And I think that goes along with Scott's picture of all the students eating breakfast in the cafeteria. And so for me, our personal story comes along with the local food incentive grant. We worked really hard over the years to increase our local food purchasing, and Universal School Meals just kind of gives local food purchasing it's a viable solution. Our district alone last year spent $88,000 on local the Vermont food products that qualify for the local food incentive grant. And that was 25% of our total
It's not bad.
food costs.
Not bad at all, yeah.
One of the big ways that we did that is we have had a longstanding relationship and connection with Cloudland Farm in Pomfret, Vermont. And Cloudland Farm is primarily a Black Angus beef cattle farm, and they do some smaller scale poultry and pork. But for over 10 years, I have worked with Kathy Emmons to make sure that we've been able to buy in Vermont beef for our menu items. She did have some slaughtering issues during COVID. No one was able to get us the demand, like the supply that we needed, but we were able to get back, and we buy about 250 pounds a month from her, which equals about $10,000 a school year in local beef.
And beef.
Yeah, ground beef. It shouldn't be overlooked that Universal School Meals is a catalyst for many schools that are just diving into first-time relationships with local food producers and farmers. And it's also a way to maintain those long-standing relationships. Ground beef is just one example. And I always think about a student's career through K through 12. And I've been in the school district for 18 years. So I've seen these kids grow, and all the beef that and the beef is just one example, but all the beef that they have eaten, from beef burgers to tacos to shepherd's pie. I mean, if you think about that many meals, I mean, it's an astronomical amount of local food that our kids are able to eat. And now with Universal School Meals increasing that participation.
If I may, Mr. Chair, it's also what they're not eating when they're filling up on all that good stuff. I mean, they're not
Eat the junk.
eat the junk as much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, some, I'm sure, they're gonna squeeze it in, but
And like our district, pre-COVID, we were serving in a paid meal system, we were serving 500 breakfast and lunch, 500 meals a day, and we've jumped to over 1,000
Hmm.
across the district a day. So it has
So
doubled.
you doubled.
Yes, it's a lot more food.
That's good.
Yeah. So in closing, I'm just asking for your full support to make universal free meals permanent with the funding from the top of the Ed Fund, so we can continue helping our students every day. Making universal school meals permanent will continue to ensure that no student in the state of Vermont goes hungry during the school day or has to feel anxiety or stress around accessing school meals again. So let's be the champion for the students and seal this deal.
No,
Great
that's great.
testimony.
Thank you. So Brian,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Gretchen, I'm grateful you brought up something I hadn't even thought about before. And I'm assuming your pattern is this narrative the same, that there's more kids eating lunch than breakfast there?
Yes.
Just so we can kind of go through that.
Yeah.
But you know, our idyllic picture of, and you see it all the time in ads for different things, where mom's got all the little lunches ready and the kids are, oh, see you tonight, and I'll get a kiss goodbye. I wonder how often that really does happen in Vermont anymore. And I wonder how often people actually sit down as a family at breakfast before. I mean, to me, it seems like a time when they're all squeezed in a time frame. They got, you know, mom and dad probably both work. They both got to get to their jobs. And a lot of times they're willing to sort of forego breakfast because there just isn't time. And so this is a really, I think, key piece of this, to have them be assured that the kids are going to be able to eat at school.
Yeah,
for
I
breakfast.
think an example is at Killington Elementary School. I've been there a lot this year, but we leave breakfast out until 9:30, and so some of the classes will actually come back down to the cafeteria to have what they call a second chance breakfast.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
so some kids do eat breakfast at home, but
Great.
by 9 o'clock and it's snack time, they can get that reimbursable
Yeah.
breakfast. And then
other questions?
Great testimony.
Well, it's a great report
thank you.
you gave us, and if there's any public assistance you can give us from your local districts, like calling your local rep or
Mhm.
senators
They'll do
and
that, yeah.
telling them how important this is to their children that they're supposedly representing.
Yeah.
That will help us, because any way you cut it, we've got to get to 16 votes. to
Yes,
get it
yeah.
through. But we had, last year, we had very strong
Yeah.
support in the committees. I think the hardest part was right at the tail end, getting it through the budget committees and aligning our spending up with what we had to spend. And, some things have to wait, but this is really important to go, Irene.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Is there a universal link on the web somewhere? Because a lot of us are in touch with our constituents, and if we could put this in a Facebook post or in something on Front Porch Forum, where we say, just a reminder to parents, here's the link, if it makes it easier for you to, if you haven't done it, to fill out that form. That would be great, because I the more that even we can push that, and everybody
Yeah.
needs 10 reminders these days
Yeah.
before they do something, right?
Yeah.
So that would be terrific. Thank you.
Anything else? No, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And yes,
All right. I'm gonna be brief because I know that for the respect of your time. My name is Erica Dolan. I am the food service director co-director for the Harwood district. I am a resident of Berrytown, and I have a ninth grader now at Spalding High School. So those are all my statistics right now. I testified a couple weeks ago in the Senator.
It was great.
So I'm gonna try not to really talk about the same things I talked before, and I don't really have beautiful written statement right now. I'm originally from Brazil. That's where my accent is from. Just like Gretchen, I didn't grow up I didn't go to school for culinary school. I actually have a bachelor's degree in architecture, which is a little different than school food nutrition, but I got involved in culinary right after school, after college, and in growing up in Brazil, I cook, in my house. I'm from a background from an Italian family where we cook a lot. So knowing where my food came from and cooking fresh from scratch was something that was not new to me. It wasn't something that I needed to learn. So that was a very easy transition to go into school meals and school food service when I first started, because I knew what was important and what kids needed and how to cook real food. So that was an easy transition to go into the school system. And I didn't say that in my last testimony, but I thought that was important. I would like to pass through this because the last time there was many questions regarding, let me do this way, how meals look like.
Thank you.
And I did share this by email yesterday. It was kind of late, so I don't know if everyone
They're making me
got
hungry.
it.
Yeah.
They're
So
gorgeous.
I thought I could show to you what we do at Harwood and how food school meals actually look like and how we are feeding kids and how we can connect with our farmers and increase our local purchasing, because now we're focusing on create new systems and creating new, for the first time ever, I have time to actually sit in my office and think about what I want to do. I am not, Universal Milk actually generates something very interesting for our district because we're serving more meals and we're having more income and we're being able to, just like for my colleagues, I'm not going to repeat everything, but it's true and it's happening in my district too. So we are able to invest more in the program. With that saying, gives me more freedom as a director to actually invest in the program in a better way. Instead of doing things that before was just, how can I say, like as a bill collector or things that were always rushed. I actually have the time to sit and think, wow, how can I make this better? And this is what better looks like.
It's amazing.
And I want to
You're
actually make,
making me hungry.
Yeah. These are really beautiful.
so just like Scott, in the high school, we actually have 3 chefs. We have, we just recently hired one from France, a French chef, and
Wow.
he is doing great. I know. And we do have a baker in the high school. We would like to do more baking in all our schools, but some schools don't have the capability to do that yet. So we are doing some satelliting of some baking goods from the high school into the elementary schools, but it's not reaching every child yet. So it's baby steps. But now I have time to sit and think, okay, how can we strategically make this better? How we can invest the money that we've been giving in a better way to now lose, so we can put together something like this to show to you that we appreciate all you do for us. Let me think about a little more here because I had a few things written, but not as good as all my friends did.
How many students do you folks feed?
Okay, so we feed around 1,000 to 1,200 meals a day. So that is in between 60 to 70% of lunch. So we are also feeding more kids for lunch than for breakfast. Our breakfast participation doubled from before COVID to right now. So the trend is real. So we are serving way more breakfast than we ever did. So some schools are needing to adjust now their school schedule based on our breakfast lines. So breakfast finally came to the plate and play a big part of the education now, because before it wasn't, we never had this good problem, as I put to one principal one day, because he said, well, you need to do it in 9 minutes. I was like, well, I understand that we're having a problem here, but it's a good problem. So let's just try to find a solution that works for everyone, especially works for the kids. So we worked together to develop like a system that we could feed as many kids as we possibly could with the schedule that was already in place. And we also do breakfast after the second chance breakfast or breakfast after bell. However, each school calls a little different, snack fairy, or, we have some very small schools like Facein or Warren that are, feeding just a few kids, but still with a higher participation based on their population. We definitely increase our local purchasing. So we're purchasing more because of the local incentive grant. And actually we were not able to get it this year. We were at 14%, which was very sad, but at the same time gives us the opportunity to relook at how we're doing business and how we're purchasing local. And so last year, the percentage is from last year. So last year we purchased 14% out of total budget of local produce or local products. So this year, because of the local incentive grant, we are able to actually look at that and say, okay, we have to purchase more. And with this universal school meals that we are now having more participation, it's a win-win. So one thing, they both tie together so well that is amazing how I cannot think about like them being separate, not having them together anymore. So it's a win-win for all the kids. And we decided to stop selling a la carte items in all our schools. So we're not selling anything in any of our schools. So that was a big change.
Wow.
Before COVID, in our elementary schools, we used to sell just milk a la carte. And we had, maybe in the middle school, we sold a few snacks here and there. And in the high school was a regular high school setup where, there's a lot of a la carte items, all meeting the requirements for a la carte, but still, you're serving, things that maybe perhaps are not the most nutritious things because kids are buying, and that's the cycle. That has been the culture for so many years. During COVID, schools were closed and we couldn't really handle the a la carte line at the high school. So we kind of closed that line just because we couldn't maintain that open during COVID. And with the universal meals, we just decided to completely eliminate them. We are not selling anything to any student in any of our schools. There's no cash flow, there's no money exchange. The teachers still need to pay, but the students are not paying for anything. So if a child comes to the lunch line or the breakfast line, they're getting a full meal, a full reimbursable meal, and they're not needing to purchase anything. So we can identify a kid that has money to pay for snacks and the kid that does not have the money to pay for snacks.
Yeah.
It's gone, it's done, out of the door. And our schools have salad bars. The kids have, as you can see, free access to the salad bar. That's our middle school, across the Brook Middle School. That picture was taken yesterday. So that was, my main cook came to my office and said, you need to come and take a picture of the salad bar right now. She was very proud of her work. So I was like, okay, Gina, now I'll put it right in front of my little program. So
it does, it looks really appetizing.
and so kids will have access to that as part of their meal. So, and that lettuce there, local, right from Green Mountain Harvest in Waitsfield.
Well, we're working with different food hubs and trying to get that better organized so that they can serve you folks at the schools on a somewhat regular basis. And trying to figure out a way to have those products, year round. So you don't have to go to one of the national food sellers.
Yeah, that would be great. I feel like, we are fortunate to have Green Mountain Farm School delivering to us in our region, but not every school has that access right now. Yeah. So I know some other schools don't have that opportunity, should be receiving from a food hub. So that would be great.
So we have questions, Irene?
I'm so impressed by what the three of you have
Yeah.
done in your schools.
Thank you.
Do you have a conference where you go and you meet like once a year and talk to other people in this business? And is everybody seeing about the same thing? Would you say this is pervasive, or are you just like three people who happen to have?
No, so for example, us in particular, we are part of the, I forgot to mention that I'm not officially a board member for the School Nutrition Association anymore, but I have been present twice and past president. I've been involved with the board for 10 years now. And we meet in a regular basis. There's a group of us, like maybe 7 or 8 of us, that we meet weekly to, once or, not in person, but through Zoom. And especially during COVID, we established a very good connection. But we do have a conference or like some workshops that we attend together, that maybe perhaps we are seeing people from other schools that we don't see in our little SNA school nutrition group.
And they're just feeling the same about this?
I feel like
Similar?
everyone is in the same, like, let's keep doing this. We are seeing a lot more meal, we're serving a lot more meals, and which is a good problem. It's not a bad problem. And so it's just a little adjustment. Some schools have to either hire more people or buy new equipment or make some adjustments for their production kitchens. So, or that's the middle of the program. Just let me tell you what it is. Those quotes, when I told people that I was going to come here, I sent a quick survey to a lot of people in the school, and I received 97 responses from the survey, and I just got the better quotes to put in the middle for you guys to see.
Yeah. You received 97?
97 responses of people wanting to continue to do universal meals. So from all over the cross, from students to teachers to nurses. I didn't share with parents. I just shared that with staff and students. Some were parents, so some of the responses, as you can see, are they're talking about them as a parent. But
You didn't get anyone that said they want to do away with it?
no, actually not. I did get some kids that said that it wouldn't affect them if it went away, but in a way that they thought it shouldn't go away. So, but I think they were just explaining themselves, like.
No, that's
Very
pretty good. Yeah. Other questions?
Terrific.
No.
Is there any downside? Like the feds aren't losing, like there's no downside, is there?
No,
to
this is a win-win program.
Okay, just want to make sure.
They have an allocation too every year, so they have a surplus because, not the allocation is not being utilized in the whole country. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
No, Irene, of all the years I've been here,
Yes.
I've never helped put together a bad program.
I understand.
No, I mean,
In the fact that you're even raising it,
I'm
it's kind of,
no, it's been amazing, the good things that the Ag Committee has.
This is
has
wonderful.
worked
It's why I
on,
wanted to be on your committee.
Accomplished
Don't worry,
getting
it's
done.
Yeah.
And this school meals thing is, we've been a long time trying to accomplish this. I
Yeah.
don't know, I think.
How many years did you say? You started this about 10, 12 years ago?
Oh, I'd say at least,
Yeah.
trying to get people more involved and no, it's been very good and I think my years of serving on a school board on this particular issue, we had school meals, preschool meals in my school district when I was on the board. And it wasn't because we wanted to feed the kids differently. Back years ago, you had a hot lunch agent and they would collect the money. And twice in maybe 10 years or 8 years, the agent ran away with the money.
Oh, good grief.
And I said to the board, because I was on the board, this got to end. we're gonna try funding the school lunch right through our school budget. And it worked fine. I mean, we never got one complaint from the taxpayers because they had to pay their share. And it went right through our school budget and we got our school aid on it no, it makes no sense to charge little kids money. And then the parents don't have the money to give to them. I mean, it's.
And that impacts kids.
And
Yeah.
It
and
really
it's a
does.
home
That's-
and your
that's
mom
hard.
and dad
Yeah.
arguing over the money and, no. Well, it's, hopefully we can accomplish our mission this year, but it's going to, it takes people like you to help us and really appreciate you coming in.
well, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Taking the
noticed,
time.
when they came to Ed, they all zoomed in, but here they arrive all in person.
Well,
They know who the boss is.
Did someone give you a free breakfast or something? Sounds like, how do we incentivize this?
Yeah, really, I mean, I had to work off Zoom like everybody else in the world did, and I.
It's not the
hated-
same. I love to be
No.
here.
No, I'm really appreciative of, I mean, having to drive and take the time, find a parking spot.
Oh, I arrive early.
It's crazy here, but,
Yeah.
I know, it's just a lot better when you see people in person and the body language of, smells or smiles or.
Did you say smells?
Smells.
Oh, snarl.
But anyways, thanks a lot for.
Thank you so
coming in
much.
and-
We appreciate all your work and everything you do. So this is more like a thank you than anything else. You already know what we've been doing. We're just re-emphasizing a little bit and saying thank you. I appreciate.
Sure. So, very good.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.